He gave me my first opportunity. So wherever Doc went, if he went to China, I was going to China with Doc.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily podcast on fantasy basketball. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. And today's Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast is also brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/LOFB and get your first month for just $5. My name is Josh Lloyd and you can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at redrock_bball, on Facebook at facebook.com/redrockbasketball, and of course you can support the show on Patreon at patreon.com/redrock_bball. And you all know about Basketball Monster, which is basketballmonster.com, where all our DFS projections and seasonal stuff will be always happening over there. So make sure you are checking it out and looking into becoming a subscriber for all the tremendous benefits that we do offer over there at Basketball Monster. It wasn't like today was a great day for basketball. The first game of the Eastern Conference Finals, Boston hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to talk about that. We're going to preview Game 2 of that series, which also ties in then with Game 3 of the Spurs Warriors for DFS. So,
let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. We'll talk about this game. We'll start straight off by talking about the Game 1 massacre that was Cleveland and Boston. It only ended up being a 13-point margin at the final score, but it was so much more than that. We're talking about a game that was basically 20, 25 plus points for the majority of this outing. So that 13-point margin on the final score is somewhat flattering to Boston. Cleveland had this one under control immediately and never really looked like ceding control of it back to Boston. And that's, I guess, the way that a lot of us projected this would go. And unfortunately, that is the way it actually went. We are really staring down the barrel here of the potential of both teams meeting in the NBA Finals, not losing an entire game throughout the playoffs, with Cleveland and Golden State. The Warriors now at 10-0 through the playoffs, and the Cavs now at 9-0, and real chance that they go through and meet in the finals at 12-0. Which has not made for great basketball. There have been some good matches, definitely some Spurs-Rockets ones were good, Spurs-Grizzlies. We had some okay Houston Thunder ones. Yeah, Boston-Washington was a good series, but overall, you can't say that this playoffs have been 100% intriguing. I guess the finals will hopefully make up for that, but let's just see how it all plays out. Now, this game here, it was just more of the same from the Cavs. We had LeBron going off once more, 38, 9, and 7. Probably didn't need to play the 42 minutes, but here we are. He had 2 steals and shot 58%. He was doing whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. It was comical, really, to watch some of the stuff LeBron was doing. And if you don't think LeBron is a top 2 player of all time, I think you really need to reassess what we're seeing from LeBron. I'm not ready to say he's the best player of all time, but it's a lot closer than you think. I still have Jordan there, but Jesus, LeBron is just ridiculous with everything that he is doing. This is his 14th playoffs, and he's getting better. I don't know how that is even possible. It seems impossible, but it's not, because we're seeing it right in front of us, and he is getting better and better, and it just feels like there's never going to be an end to the sort of stuff that LeBron James is doing. Hunter Blancett, who's watching live. Hey Josh, my buddy is participating in the Bud Light playoffs in Miami this weekend. He won the free FanDuel qualifier. Him and I are both listeners to the show and just wanted to thank you for the hard work you do. No worries, Hunter, and no worries to Hunter's mate, who is going down for that playoffs in Miami, and hopefully Hunter or Hunter's mate. Hopefully you come across with a big prize down there in Miami. So that would be awesome to go down to something like that. And Hunter's mate, whoever you are, best of luck. Kevin Love bounced back after a pretty poor Game 4 against Toronto. He had 32 and 12, 6 triples, a lot of bullshit fouls, and these fouls are they're ludicrous, really. The ones where he's sitting there for a 3 and Horford's closing out, going by him to the side, and Love jumps sideways to get the contact. To me, it's just a really simple refereeing thing. Who initiates the contact is who the foul is on. If someone is in the air and you jump into them, to the side, which is not a normal looking shot, it's a foul on you. Straightforward. If your normal shot involves you going straight up and shooting, but then you move forward at a 45-degree angle to hit someone, then the foul is on you, because that is not a shot. That is you creating the contact. This is... It seems just a straightforward interpretation, and hopefully something is done about it, because it's bullshit just to see this stuff. Horford going past him to the side and Love jumping sideways so he can initiate contact. Love is the one creating the contact. It should not be a foul against Horford. Regardless, Love was still great. He hit 6 triples. He was fantastic, and the Celtics didn't really have much of an answer for him. Kyrie Irving didn't do a huge amount, 11, 2, and 6, while Tristan Thompson wasn't expecting the 20 points from Tomo on his 7 of 7 shooting. The hacker, I guess, helped him because he got 6 points from the line on 10 attempts. His offensive rebounding was obviously ridiculous. 6 boards, 9 in total. And we did talk about how he was going to be able to have a field day against this Celtics team, and he would remain a really solid and very, very strong DFS option, and that clearly played out in this one. J.R. Smith only the 24 minutes, while Shumpert played 25 and Kyle Korver played 14. That's going to be the problem with those 3 guys, just sort of rotating their minutes. Shumpert's offense is disgusting. It is just so bad, and J.R. Smith, we can't rely upon him for literally anything. 2 points in his 24 minutes, while Korver hit a 3, and that was his only scoring of the day. The bench, not much happening there. Only 3 minutes for Channing Frye, which is a little bit surprising. Hit a 3 in that time, but obviously all the value is just concentrated around LeBron, Love, Thompson, and Irving, and I think that should be the majority of the case the majority of the time throughout this series. Boston decided they were going to continue to go with Amir Johnson. When will Brad Stevens is a good coach, this is a good team, but when will he realize that this is a bad option? This has been the entirety of the players. Whoever that 5th starter is, they just keep rotating them. They play them 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and take them out. It's just bullshit. Amir Johnson started the first half. He played 5 minutes. He had 1 rebound, and he was terrible. He didn't start the second half. In fact, he didn't play in the second half. Kelly Olynyk started the second half, and Olynyk wasn't good either. He had 2 points in his 16 minutes. Started off the game 0 of 5, hit his last shot to end up 1 of 6. But he's better than Amir Johnson. Jaylen Brown, also better than Amir Johnson. He had 10 and 9 in 20 minutes. I think we're going to be seeing a pretty solid role from Jaylen throughout this series. And Marcus Smart, while he fouled out in 21 minutes, still is a better option than Amir Johnson. There is literally no need for Amir Johnson to play 5 minutes in this series. We saw Gerald Green play 14 minutes down the stretch, all junk time minutes. He didn't play in the first half. Not sure if Gerald's going to find himself back in the rotation, but I wouldn't be shocked if Stevens once again goes and moves Amir out and puts Gerald Green in while ignoring the players who should be in the bulk of the minutes. And it's not that they're not getting the bulk of the minutes, because Olynyk is, and Smart is, and Brown is. It's just that these other guys shouldn't play. Amir shouldn't play at all. He just shouldn't start the game off when you go down in a deep hole. Gerald Green shouldn't start the game off and then you go out down in a deep hole and trying to fight back from, which happened numerous times in that Washington series. This is not the way that I think you should go about it. There's no need to play Amir. There's no need to play Gerald Green. You've got other guys who can be competent. You can use Rozier, Olynyk, Brown, Smart, Jerebko even as other bench options. These other players don't need to play. Jay Crowder was good. He had 21, 8, and 5 with 4 triples in his 35 minutes. A strong shooting night there for him, while Al Horford didn't do great deal scoring-wise, 11, 8, and 6, but those other numbers are pretty tasty, while Isaiah Thomas, not his greatest night, 17 points in 37% shooting in 38 minutes. Also dished the 10 assists, so did help out there. It's just really hard to see a way back from the Celtics in this series. Some performances will change, obviously, but I don't hold massively high hopes for Isaiah Thomas doing regular season Isaiah Thomas things, as I've said lots and lots of times. The other Crowder and Horford and Avery Bradley, who wasn't fantastic. Actually, rephrase that. Avery Bradley was pretty good, but still, I just feel that this is probably his ceiling in this series, 21 and 4 in those 39 minutes. Really hard to see him getting much better than that. And that limits what this team can do. It is going to be interesting to see how they respond in Game 2, and I'm pretty sure there will be some sort of a change in what Brad Stevens does with that starting lineup. Whether it's the correct one or not, I'm going to have to say no, because nearly every time he makes a move like that, it is incorrect in my opinion, and it almost 100% gets proven out to be incorrect, because therefore he changes it every second game. Not saying Brad Stevens is a bad coach. I'm saying that some of those rotational decisions and starting decisions are the incorrect ones. And I think that's been pretty much played out. And Amir Johnson just does not need to play at all, really, in this series. All right, time for me to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is the Dollar Shave Club. I know you can look at me and say, Josh, what do you know about shaving? You've got a big ass hairy beard and you don't shave. But that's not 100% true, because this thing doesn't keep itself in tip-top condition all by itself. You got to do a little bit of trimming. You got to trim under the neck. You got to trim around the sides, around the ears, on top of the cheeks. You got to do all that sort of maintenance stuff as well. And plus, I haven't had a beard my entire life. I shaved for years and years and years and years until I got too lazy. And you know what? Frustrated by the cost of razors, that I said, you know what? Screw this. Let's grow the beard. But if you're one of those people who can't grow a full beard and aren't blessed with or cursed with the ridiculous hairiness that what I am, Dollar Shave Club is the way that you need to go. It's the smarter choice. You can get yourself a great shave at a great price, and it's conveniently delivered right to your door. It's a no-brainer choice. You no longer have to go to the store, go to find the razors. Oh, which razor fits my handle? Oh, where is it? Can I get someone to come and help me because it's locked up in a security box because low-life assholes steal it all the time? Where do I get it? Oh, here it is. Oh, that'll be $1,000. Thanks. Cool. Didn't know razors cost that much. You don't need to worry about any of that stuff with Dollar Shave Club. When you use the executive razor and the Dr. Carver's shave butter that comes with that first month promotion that we've got, the blade, it just gently glides right over your skin, giving you a smooth shave. Dr. Carver's shave butter, it's transparent, makes it much easier to see where you're actually shaving, especially if you're one of those people who want to go for a little bit more intricate action with your facial hair. Maybe you want to go for a pencil mustache. Hey, if that's your thing, go for it. But you need to be able to see where you're shaving. It helps prevent ingrown hairs as well and fights razor bump. You too can make the smarter choice by joining the Dollar Shave Club. For a limited time, all new members get their first month of the executive razor with a tube of Dr. Carver's shave butter for only $5 with free shipping. And after that, the razors are just a few bucks a month. In your first month's box, you get an awesome weighty handle and a full cassette of 4 cartridges and a tube of their shave butter. And after the first month, the replacement cartridges ship automatically at their regular price. There are no hidden fees, there are no commitments, and you can cancel anytime you like. In order to get this awesome new deal, join the club today at dollarshaveclub.com/LOFB. That's important. dollarshaveclub.com/LOFB to get your first month for just $5. All right, let's look ahead to Game 2 and incorporate that into the next DFS slate that's running, which is Game 2, Boston-Cleveland, and Game 2, Boston-Cleveland, and Game 3, Golden State and San Antonio, because that will be the next DFS slate that's going, that's going to be happening. Let's look at Boston-Cleveland Game 2 and see where any value might have changed here in this one. We'll start with the point guards again. Isaiah Thomas at 9,200. Yeah, you might look. I guess it all depends on what you want to do with the point guard spot. Do you want to take, say, a Steph Curry, who's quite expensive, assuming Kawhi plays and the game stays close? That's not a bad way to look at it in a GPP. In cash, though, I'm not sure it's the greatest way to look at your point guard. So I think Isaiah, despite his struggles today, he still dished the 10 assists. He still had 17 points. So he wasn't too far off where he needs to be at that 9,200. And given some of the other options that position, maybe that's the way to go. Do you look at Kyrie, who did struggle a little bit today? He's priced at 8,800. That saves you the $400. But if you need the $400 somewhere else, I would have no problem moving down from Isaiah to Kyrie Irving. Kyrie was great in the Raptors series, and I do expect a bounce back from him in Game 2. So I'd be looking at a much bigger Kyrie Irving performance in Game 2, and I might even be inclined to go with him over Isaiah, as well as pocketing that extra $400. As for, say, Terry Rozier, who's priced at 2,300, we've seen him be really limited in the last couple of games. His minutes have been well down. Now, I don't know if he gets some extra minutes as Amir gets excised, but it looks like Brad Stevens has been going away from Rozier, so I'm not 100% confident on him. And if you say a $1,500 guy like Sean Livingston, I'd be in for that. But at $2,300 on FanDuel for Terry, I'm not sure that really makes the hugest amount of sense, even though hugest isn't really a great word. He's at 28 over on DraftKings as well. Shooting guards, Marcus Smart at 5,100. I'm all for that. He only played the 21 minutes due to fouling out today, but he's going to get you around that 25-point mark most games. Totally fine. While Avery Bradley at 65, I would actually rather take the 51 on Marcus Smart than Avery at 65. I just don't think that him getting to that level is a guarantee, and his upside is not all that high, I don't believe. Smith, JR, that is, Kyle Korver, Iman Shumpert, really not much to see. Korver and Smith are GPP targets, but that's really about it. The best thing I can say for them is they're both priced under $4,000. Continue to like Jaylen Brown at 2,100. Played 20 minutes again today, almost doubled. You feel like he's going to get 20 or even more than that in the next one. That to me is a great spot to put my low-cost guy in. Really like Jaylen at 2,100 and think he's going to play a lot of minutes. 2,400 on DraftKings makes him a real strong option as well. While Jay Crowder at 6,300, not sure he's got really the great tournament sort of upside, but I do like him for cash if you don't want to go, say, the LeBron direction, which obviously is quite expensive, but is most likely going to pay off as it has every other game. Well, let's talk LeBron now. He's at 12.5 again. He had another monster. Nothing's telling me that anybody has got any chance of slowing him down. So just bank on 55 points and assume 60. I'm getting 55 no matter what. I'm probably getting 60, and you're going to be pretty happy with what you get out of LeBron. So a LeBron-Jaylen Brown combination, which costs you 14.6 on FanDuel, is a pretty good combination. LeBron comes at 12.2 on DraftKings, so you can combine him with Jaylen over there and cost you 14.6 as well. Same price. No problem with that as a combo whatsoever. I think it's going to be a pretty popular combination, to be honest. At power forward, Kevin Love at 7,500. Did not like Kevin Love for this game, and I was wrong. I still think he's a little bit fluky, especially at that price. I would have a look at him in a tournament, but I would not feel 100% convinced of him being a cash play. I think he's a little bit too up and down at that sort of a salary for me to really love that. While Amir Johnson and Channing Frye, well, Amir probably won't play, and Channing Frye only saw the 3 minutes. At center, Tristan Thompson, 5,100. Yes. Lock that in. I think he's going to get that value pretty much every game. While Al Horford at 8,000. I don't like Al at that price. Horford at 6,900. Giggity. Over on DraftKings. Yeah, fine. I think he bounces back a little bit from what he did today, but 6,900 is not a terribly high price for you to have a look at for Big Al over there. Tristan Thompson on DraftKings, $5,000. Nothing wrong with that price either. I think that's a really good spot for Tristan. And he is going to be, until his price changes, he's going to be a rock-solid cash option at that sort of a salary price point. I don't really see too much changing with him moving forward. That's really... Oh, Kelly Olynyk, the other guy, 4,800. That's too high. On FanDuel, that's too high for Olynyk. He's at 44 on DraftKings, which is fine, but I'd look more at him as being a tournamenty sort of guy. I could lean a little bit towards cash for Olynyk on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, I feel it's too high, especially when you can go $300 more and take Tristan Thompson, who is going to give me 25 points pretty much every game in this series, and I'd be pretty okay with using Thompson over Olynyk in that sort of a situation. All right, so we don't know the status of these guys for Golden State, San Antonio at this point. All we know is that Zaza Pachulia has had his MRI and it came back clear. So he's just dealing with a heel contusion. So he is questionable for Saturday. Kawhi Leonard is questionable for Saturday. Andre Iguodala is questionable for Saturday. So there's 3 options that we don't know of. So when you're constructing this now, we've got almost 24 hours before this slate. Not even true. Almost 48 hours until this slate locks. So we might get some more information. But in general, I would expect we don't get information on the status of Kawhi, on Iguodala or Zaza before Cleveland-Boston tips off. So you're going to have to be a little bit cautious. If I had to go one way or the other, I would guess that all of them play. But that's a guess at this point. We obviously don't know. But using guys like Kawhi or Kyle Anderson or Pat McCaw in cash games is a risky proposition. Now, they can really shoot up to be great DFS GPP plays. Kawhi, Kyle Anderson and Pat McCaw, especially if Iguodala and Leonard are out, they become awesome GPP plays. But I'd only want to have them in there because if Kawhi plays and if Iguodala plays, then McCaw and Anderson, they just don't play. They don't see it at all. Now, John Simmons for San Antonio, he gets a bit of a bump if Kawhi's out, but he can still be a decent option if Leonard plays. But the big change guys are going to be McCaw and it's going to be Anderson, and to a limited degree, Matty Barnes and Sean Livingston as well in Golden State. And if Zaza's out, I think we get even more from Barnes in, a little bit more JaVale McGee. But these are risky plays in cash. Let's have a look at the overall slate, starting with FanDuel and looking where the value really lies. As I said, I love Jaylen Brown at 2,100. Shawnee Livingston at 1,500. I reckon you could go with that regardless of Andre Iguodala's status. If he's out, it bumps that up. Yeah, Livingston had 17 points in game 2, which is a tremendous return at 1,500. So I really like having both of those guys in as your 2 cheap guys, and then getting your Tristan Thompsons in, maybe Marcus Smart, and going LeBron, going Thomas, maybe go Steph, maybe go Durant. These other guys you can put in. As I said, Marcus Smart at 51 is a good option. Isaiah at 92, not too bad. While LaMarcus Aldridge at 8,000, I'm a little bit sourer on that, on what I should be. Pat Mills at 5,200, I'm not loving that, to be honest. I don't really think that Pat Mills is that great, and I think against Golden State he will struggle somewhat. While I love the 5,100 you've got there for Tristan Thompson. 11,000 for Kawhi is obviously risky. It's got some tournament play because a lot of people will steer away, and that could really steer it in your direction. But when you've got an option of LeBron at small forward, that is the direction that I would rather go. While Steph at 10,000, and Steph's value here is really impacted by Kawhi's presence. Kawhi plays, Steph at 10,000, good option. Kawhi doesn't, Steph at 10,000, maybe not. But in saying that, in game 2, Steph still dropped 52. He's averaging 51 over the last 3 games. And he's putting up these big numbers, so I don't hate using Steph. In fact, I probably feel a little bit more comfortable using Curry than, say, Isaiah Thomas, and going with a Shawnee Livingston and a Jaylen Brown, and pairing those guys with LeBron to really get your stars and scrubs going, which is a real strong way to go in the playoffs. And probably much more so than the regular season, even though you can obviously win without using those sort of big price guys. Klay Thompson remains, as I said, a GPP sort of an option, while Kevin Durant at 10,000 I think he's due for a pretty decent game here in game 3, but the same sort of caveat that we apply to Steph Curry applies here to Kevin Durant as well. If we look at it over on DraftKings, it's a little different. Jaylen Brown at 2,400 still remains strong, and Kawhi at 9,400 is super awesome for tournaments if he happens to get up. Al Horford at 6,900 is a much better play on DraftKings than what he is on FanDuel, while Steph at 9,100 is also super strong, and Klay Thompson gains more appeal given he is priced at 6,000 rather than 7,000 plus, which is where he currently sits over on FanDuel. Kevin Love at 7,000 obviously had a big one today. I'm not 100% sure he can continue to do that, but at 7,000 I do really like using Kevin Love, especially as a tournament player. While 5,000 for Tristan Thompson and 6,000 for Jay Crowder, I think are pretty strong options, and we've already talked about the 12-2 for LeBron. Draymond at 79, I think that, I don't know if there's much upside in that for Draymond, but I think you're getting 40 out of him almost no matter what, so that's a totally fine power forward play to use in cash and in tournaments. While Andre Iguodala, his injury status has got nothing to do with him. It's more to do with how it impacts the other guys, like Pat McCaw, who's a guy who, and Sean Livingston, who really do get that bump if Iguodala happens to miss the next game. John Simmons is priced at 52 on DraftKings. It's probably pushing him just a little bit too high. He's at 43 on FanDuel, so I'm all for using him on FanDuel. And the other guy to look at if Kawhi is out is DeJounte Murray at 2,600. He had 27 points in game 2, probably a little bit of a high bar to expect. But getting 18 or 19 out of him is not going to be that hard if Leonard sits, so he remains a really good GPP option also. Tomorrow, what we'll be doing for the podcast is the first of the season review shows. The Brooklyn Nets season review will be tomorrow. As I said, there's no games tomorrow. If there's any updated information on Kawhi or Zaza or Iguodala, I will talk about that tomorrow as well, but I imagine that will come the day after. So be prepared for the Nets season review podcast tomorrow. Tell all your Nets friends, fans, or anyone who has any interest in the NBA that we'll be starting to do that series starting off tomorrow. The best way to make sure you never miss an episode is to subscribe. So do that via iTunes, via Google Play, via TuneIn, via Stitcher, and you can subscribe to the podcast and never miss an episode. Leave a review if you do like the show, and you can support it also on Patreon at patreon.com/redrock_bball. We're done. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Tyronn Lue.